Everyone, stop. Please share this broadcast and let's get to moving. Hello, amazing people. How are we doing on this great and lovely warm Sunday night in the District of Columbia, the Maryland area, the Virginia area, better known as the DMV? We have so much to be excited about today. I'm excited. If you notice my colors, I'm excited. That's self-explanatory. I am so super excited to see each and every one of my amazing people on this evening. Thank you so much for being on this show. This show is not scripted. This show is not organized to the point where we just want to say, well, we're going to say this, we're going to say that. We wanted to make sure that we have authentic conversations as we continue to work around moving our mountains and breaking our barriers. I am Thomas Davis. I am the host of this season 1, episode 1 of Move Mountains and Break Barriers. To my listening audience, hey Auntie, hey Aunt Bernice, I see you. I just want to thank you so much for tuning in on a Sunday evening. I know that we're watching the Dallas Cowboys versus the Pittsburgh Steelers game. We're going to leave that where it is. But I am so glad that you took a break away from TV and just to come in and chime in and support me and what we are here to do. This show is just simply about moving mountains. But before I go any further, I just want to take a moment and do a pause for the cause. What you're going to learn about me is that everything that I do is not for myself. It's for everyone that is tuning in, that are listening to my voice, that is watching me on your screens. I just want to take a moment and show gratitude to our frontline workers, to our police department, to everyone that is out here working during these times of pandemics, uncertainties. And I just want to personally shout you out for all of the hard work that each and every one of you are doing. Again, thank you so much for all that you're doing, and that we appreciate everything that you continue and will do for us in the world of America. All right, so let's go have a conversation tonight. Tonight's topic is a very interesting yet transparent topic. I'm just excited about the fact that we have been able to have some time during this pandemic to self-reflect, to self-perfect, and most of all, focus on ourselves a little bit and focus on our families, focus on our jobs, focus on our passions. And one thing that really stuck with me as I began to open up this show and open up the series is, what am I going to do differently? And what I honestly wanted to focus on is how can we have conversations that is just a dialogue, not too deep. I'm not going to drop no therapeutic theories so much, but we want to make sure that we are targeting our audience. I wanted to make sure that we are having conversations that not only resonates with me, but resonates with you as our viewing audience. It's very important that we start talking things out in 2020. It's very important that we use our voice. We share our stories, because guess what? It's not just us that are dealing with the same thing. I mean, it's not just us that are dealing with things. Everyone that connected to us has similar stories, similar walks of life. And most of all, we are here to move our mountains and break our barriers. But tonight's subject, as I stated earlier, we are going to be focusing on the woman or the man in the mirror. Wow, what a topic. And I'm so excited about our guest that's going to be on tonight, sharing with us. I'm excited about the fact that we're going to be talking about perceptions. What do I see in the mirror? How do I see myself as Thomas? How do I see myself as Thomas, the educator? How do I see myself as Thomas as the child of my mom? How do I see myself as a professional? So we're just going to talk about what we see ourselves in the mirror. We're going to also be sharing what other people see. because sometimes we get caught up in the thoughts of other people, and that could be a barrier. And most of all, we just want to empower our listening audience to keep it moving, to do what you do, and most of all, get to your finish line on your path, your track, and your beat. So before I go into introducing our guest tonight, I just want to give some brief definition of what we're going to be talking about. A mountain. We know what a mountain looks like. It's very tall. It can be very rugged. It could be very stiff, but it's strong. A mountain. Let's talk about that. The definition of a mountain is a large, steep hill. We're going to be hearing later on tonight how our guests have had to climb some large, steep hills. It was rugged, it was rough, but they are climbing that mountain and they are moving it. A barrier that is defined is a fence or an obstacle that prevents movement or access. I'm going to say that again. A barrier is a fence or an obstacle that prevents movement or access. How many of us have ever felt stuck that we can move out of something? These are basic definitions, but it applies to our life. And the last term I want to introduce is perception. Perception is a way of regarding, understanding, and or interpreting something, and it can also be a mental impression. What do people think about you truly? And do we care about what people say about us? I want to say so quickly, hi, Cynthia Gray. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Hi, Teresa Grace. My family is on tonight, and I'm very humbled, and I'm very blessed to have all of my friends, my family in. But let's move on into this show. I want to introduce to you a great person. She is all the way in Cali on the West Coast time. I have interrupted her day, her dinner with my lovely family, but I am honored to have her here on this evening. Her name is Mrs. September Penn. She is a dynamic person. She has a loving spirit. She loves everyone. And most of all, she is here to tell her story as the woman in the mirror. So without further ado, I want to bring on September Penn. Hey, Miss Penn.
Hello. How are you,
Hello. I am great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. That's quite a setup, cousin.
Thank you, cousin. So how are you doing over there on the West Coast? How's the weather?
It's pretty nice. Actually, the last couple of days we've had a little bit of rain, and we always welcome rain in Southern California. So while other folks might not want it, exactly, it's like, ooh, we got a nice election result. The heavens have opened and it's raining. Smiling indeed. So it's been nice. I can't complain.
Love it. Okay, thank you so much. So is there anything else that you would like for our viewing audience to know something about you before we move into our discussion?
I think a lot of what I want folks to know, what I'm going to share, is going to come out in the midst of our discussion. So I don't want to, set up and put down whatever bio or anything. Let's just chop it up and see what comes out. Whatever, God wants the folks to hear, I believe it's going to come out.
Right. So we have September Penn in the house tonight. To our audience, please like and share this broadcast. Please share it with your friends. I promise you, we're going to have some real conversations on tonight. Justin, thank you so much. And thank you for all of the hard work that you're doing, because you're going to be on here pretty soon. So get ready, brother. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. So now I would like to introduce to you another panelist that we have on tonight. And his name is Mr. Reggie Romaine Jr. Reggie is all the way from Northern Virginia. He attended Ferrum College. We met in 1999, and we've been friends for 20 long burying years. But I can tell you that this is a great young man. He's a father. He loves his daughter. He loves his family. And most of all, he is walking in who Reggie truly is, based on who Reggie is, not what we see. And I'm just so happy to have him on the show this evening. Those that know Mr. Romaine know that he's going to give it real. He's going to unfiltered, and he's going to tell it like it is. So without further ado, I would like to bring on Mr. Reggie Romaine Jr. Reggie, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
What's going on, good sir? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. So how you doing in Washington, D.C. on this evening?
I mean, all is well. I mean, it's not raining outside, and it was a nice day outside. So, it's all, it was nice outside today. So I definitely appreciated it.
Awesome. So how are you feeling about this weekend?
I mean, the Giants won. So, I mean, I feel pretty good about that. So, I mean, the weekend was really good. So I appreciate it. And, we had an election that, we had the outcome that we wanted. So it was a pretty good weekend.
Thank you, brother Nelson. I see you, 8-5. So how was the temperature in DC, Reggie, with the election, with the people being out? Is it calm? How are things going with that?
Me personally, I haven't been out, but I mean, from what I've seen from others, it seems like we got the good with the bad, but at least people are being safe out. So I mean, I can just appreciate the fact that being in the city, knowing that things are a little bit more safer. I feel more comfortable going out on my own this week than what I did last week, just because of the change of powers that be. So with that being said, like everything is more upbeat than what it was last week. So and I'm very appreciative of that.
Good. That's what we like to hear. Are y'all ready to talk?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, I just have two ground rules. The first thing is let's just get to the unfiltered. Let's just tell the people what it is, and let's get ready to move mountains and break barriers. Who's ready with me? Because I'm ready.
We're ready. Yes, we're gonna do this.
Yeah. Let's go. All right. So let's start because we were all raised, right? So let's start with our wonderful, beautiful young lady, Miss Penn. When you look in the mirror, can you tell us what do you see?
First of all, I want to say thank you for saying young lady. Because I'm not quite as young as I may look, but I received that. Thank you so much.
Yes.
What I see when I look in the mirror, honestly, it depends on the day. Some days when I rise and I first look in the mirror, I'm hopping out of bed. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to whatever the day has, the assignments. And I literally look in the mirror like, yeah, you got it, girl. We're going to do this. And sometimes when I'm talking to myself, I'm saying, baby girl, you can do it, Tim. You got it, baby girl.
Right,
just hang in there. Focus. It's going to be a good day. We got a lot on our plate, but we're going to do it today. But other days, because we are keeping it real, when I rise, I'm like, I don't even want to rise because I don't want to start the day. I would rather just lay here another hour because I don't want to face what's waiting for me because there's something waiting for me that's heavier, it's weightier. I don't want to deal with it. So then on those days when I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh my God, okay, God. And this has become a bit of a breath prayer for me. It has been, okay, God, you're going to have to help me do this thing that I think you're calling me to do. I think you're telling me to do this. And if I'm going to get it done, you're going to have to help me because I am myself. I'm not feeling it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to face it. So, it's different things that I see when I look in the mirror. So prayerfully, I'll have more days that I'm like, we doing it, babe.
Right.
It's not always like that. It's not like that.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing it. So just a quick question for you as we bring in Reggie, but I just want to ask you one thing. So when you see yourself in that mirror, are you excited about what you see?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Some days I am. Some days I'm very excited. Some days, especially when we've come through something very difficult, I just graduated from seminary, and so I've had many nights where I'm up late writing papers. And I'll tell you, after I submit those papers and I hit the send and I go to bed, when I rise the next day, I always like what I see. It's like, you did it. You got it done, girl. It was hard. Surely there were some tears there. It may or may not have been perfect, but I generally feel good about what I submitted. So yeah, I like what I see. And most of that is not because of, I think I'm whatever great. Most of that is because I really did feel God helping me on that. I really did feel God pushing me through. So I do like what I see. I like what God is doing in me.
Because at the end of the day, it matters what you see, not what I see. But it matters when you wake up in the morning and when you look yourself in the mirror, it's important that you are okay with who you are. So to our listening audience, we just want you to understand, when you wake up in the morning, be happy about who you are, where you are, and what you are about to embark on, whether it's good, the bad, the ugly, the heavy, the middle, the low. Just be happy about that. So thank you so much, Ms. Penn, for sharing that. So let's go to Mr. Romaine. When we wake up in the morning, when you wake up in the morning, when you look yourself in the mirror, what do you, Mr. Reggie Romaine, see?
Well, first I see myself, and then I have a couple sticky notes on a mirror just to help me deal with the day. So with that being said, like, I just try to make sure that, I read what I need to read and just make sure that, I make sure that I own my day. And what I mean by I own my day is that I make sure that I'm my true, authentic self, and I don't allow others to impede on how I feel. So that's what I've been working on for myself actually recently for a while. So that's what I do when I look in the mirror, when I look at myself, and pertaining to what you're saying.
Okay. Good. So when you wake up in the morning, I'm going to ask you the same question. Are you excited about what you see in the mirror?
Well, first, when I wake up, I'm not a morning person. So the fact that what I see in the morning is not the first thing I see when I see that I have to shave this bald head because I got some hair growing. So unfortunately, that is the first thing that I know that I have to realize and work on. But after I get past that, I'm learning to like the person that I see in the mirror and understanding that I need to maintain the person that I am and not conform to what other people feel as though that I should be or where I should be at my age or where I'm at in my life.
Got you. Reggie, I want to drop a comment. There is someone by the name of Mr. Keon Davis. He said, the reflection I see in the mirror is myself and also the people that was around me, especially you, Mr. Davis and Mr. Reggie, because y'all never gave up on me and y'all taught me how not to give up on myself. Wow, Keon. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for really sharing that. That's some honest, real talk. Keon, Reggie, and I are both proud of you, and you continue to move your mountains, and you continue to break those barriers, brother. We're proud of you. Wow.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's go on in here and talk.
Can I say something really quick? Can I bounce off of something really quick that Reggie just shared? And I really appreciated that. He commented that he's learning to do this. Because I can remember years ago, my self-talk was not positive. My self-talk was, you just can't do it. You just can't get it right. You just can't get it together. It was it was quite downtrodden. And I had to learn how to shift my self-talk to the point of, no, you got it, girl. No, you no, you got it, girl. Yes, you are the one. Yes, you are called to do this. But it wasn't always like that. It wasn't like I'm just a happy-go-lucky, optimistic person. I had to teach myself. I had to retrain my mind so I can see things more positively. So I just wanted to highlight. I don't know if everyone caught that what Reggie said, and it's key. We have to learn to do this thing.
Yes, and let me tell you, I'm still learning myself, because that man up there, Reggie, would tell me at the end of the day, you got to be comfortable with who you are as a person. No matter what nobody's around you saying, no matter what they screenshotting, no matter what they texting, you have to be in charge of you. His famous words is, at the end of the day, you got to be comfortable with who you are. And I just want to echo you, September, and echo you, Reggie. This is a barrier for myself. I'm not sitting here as the expert. I'm sitting here as a person that's going to be transparent to say we all have struggles, but it's what you do to overcome them. And this is the purpose of this entire show, this entire episode, this entire series, is to let everyone know that we are going to get through this. Look at what we just accomplished on Friday from November the 3rd. So there is nothing that we cannot say to ourselves that we cannot be what we want to be. History has proven itself. Now it's time for us to get on the ground and work and do the same thing. So thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. Danny Ross, thank you so much for chiming in. Thank you, Miss Guest, for chiming in. I see you on my other page. Thank you all for supporting. Thank you, family, for being on. I just want to just go right into our next topic of discussion. So let's start with Reggie. Reggie, when other people see you and they are looking at you in that mirror, which is your face, what do you think they are actually seeing when they see Reggie?
I mean, I have a resting, excuse my language, but I have a resting bitch face. I don't mean to have it. It's just what it is. It's what I've been taught. But I mean, Thomas, you know me, I'm all about changing the narrative. Like, I hate, I have a bunch of tattoos. I'm over 6 foot and over 200 pounds. Like, that doesn't mean that I'm the image of what people think of what that is. Like, I'm all about changing barriers and, moving mountains when I open my mouth and talk, to realize that people about basically recognizing, don't judge a book by its cover. And that's something that I always try to go through, because that's something that I have personally had to battle through my whole life, is that knowing that because I look a certain way or because I was raised a certain way, this is how I'm supposed to be. And to be honest, like, I don't want to be the norm, not to be a negative, but I don't want to be the norm to be a positive, to understand that, you don't have to be the norm of what society sees you. You don't have to be the norm of what your culture sees you, as long as you're happy within your own skin.
Right.
That's what's most important to me. And you know me, I'm always preaching that, because for a long period of time, like, I was not in a good place. I was not happy because I was more worried about making sure that I fit the mold of what people wanted, instead of making sure that I wasn't fitting my own mold, and then I wasn't happy, and things of that nature.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And for those who are watching that know Mr. Romaine, no, he really don't give you all of this right here. So you guys are getting unfiltered, uncensored, raw, real information. And I thank you, Reggie, so much for allowing yourself to step outside of you to share with us that information. So let me ask you this quick question. Why do you think people see what they see in you?
To me?
Yes.
I think perception is everything. I think the way you dress, the way you act, the way you carry yourself, that's how people are going to perceive you. But until you open your mouth and say something, that's when people get the shock or the step back of like, oh, well, you really weren't what I expected you to be. Like, that's kind of been the story of my life. To me, I feel as though, is that, like, people perceive me as one way, but when I open my mouth, or when I choose to let you know who I am, which is again something I'm continuing to work on. Like, I'm just a big kid. Like, I love to have fun all the time. I like to joke on people. Like, that's what I like to do. But I understand that being my age and my, and where I'm at, I'm not supposed to do that, but I don't care anymore. So I'm just going to be who I am. And those who like it, they're going to like it. And those who don't, like, you were there for a season, and that's okay.
Ooh, that's a word right there. You here for a season. Here today, gone today. Here today, gone tomorrow. September, I'm going to ask you the same question. What do you think people see when they see September? Because a lot of people sometimes get the image. They see you on Facebook. They see you doing videos, singing the gospel. They see all of that. But what do you think people truly see when they see you?
I think it's changing now. When I was younger, what I used to get was people thought that I was sedity or stuck up or unapproachable. And then once they started hanging out with me, or we started doing things, they were like, oh, you actually kind of cool. Oh, you actually kind of crazy. Yes. So I think just because the way I would, I'm a hair person. My hair gonna be looking good. Okay. I'm gonna take care of my hair, and and I try to present myself a certain way. I mean, that some of that is just my own home training, and the way we as young women we were trying to trained to carry and present ourselves a certain way. Right. So for some reason, some folks do find it somewhat unapproachable. Now, I'll say now, years later, because again, I'm a bit older than y'all young, beautiful people. And so I've seen a lot of seasons change. And I remember being in a particular season shortly after marriage, and I'm, working in different types of churches, and there is a certain expectation. There's a certain presentation, and just as Reggie was sharing, at that time there was a certain form or a certain image of quote unquote of holiness, and I remember trying so desperately to adopt it, to walk in it, to carry myself this way, so that within this particular organization or this church structure, I will be honorable and I will be received. And, that's, as much as I'm trying to be quote unquote obedient, it was doing a lot of damage to my own spirit. And that's probably a different show, so I won't go too deep into that dive. But seasons do change, and you have to make the choice of, you know what, I don't have to subscribe to that. I can still honor God and not completely conform to that thing. So, I mean, what people think of me now when they see me, most people think they find that I am what they get. I come into the room exactly who I am, which sometimes is kind of crazy, and sometimes it's real mellow, because I am an extrovert introvert. I am by nature an introvert. I like to be alone.
Oh my goodness!
I do. I like to chill and be alone, but I also have the capacity, to work a room a little bit. But I'm an extroverted introvert. So sometimes I will be very, very mellow and chill. And maybe the thing is, well, what's up with September today? Oh, she's just chill today.
Right. And that's interesting, because I think, Reggie, would you say that you are introvert, extrovert, or extrovert, introvert?
Introvert, extrovert, but especially with this COVID, I think I'm about to be more of an extrovert.
Yeah, I know. Everybody hurt now. I know.
Yes. Wow. So, Marty, thank you so much for chiming in. Marty is saying that he is loving this discussion. Tanya Edwards Mackey is saying perceptions are people's reality. And when we get to that word perception, and when we get further into this discussion, we're going to work some things out about that. Woo! Okay, so far, y'all, we are definitely rocking it. People are liking, people are making comments, and this is what this is really and truly about. So the question that I just want to just ask you guys is, how much do we allow what we see in ourselves versus what others see in us to impact us? Let me rephrase it. How much do we allow what other people see in us to impact us more than what we see in ourselves?
I'll jump on that.
Okay.
I'll jump on that. That's a really good question. That's a great question, Thomas, because, I do remember a season in my life where I knew there was something about me that I needed to be pursuing. But because of comments or opinions of others, I purposely did not push forward. And, that was a detriment. That caused me to kind of procrastinate on being obedient. But it is a shame that sometimes other people's, especially, it's not like just some random Joe. I'm not talking about a random Sally. We're talking about people who mean something in our lives. They're important to us. They are very significant. And when you know their perception or what they're pitching is not completely lining up with the thing within you that you heard God to do, that for me, it caused me to hesitate. It caused me to pause. It caused me to really pray and discern, and then discern again, and then discern again. But once I got to the point of, no, this is really what I'm supposed to be doing. This is really who God is calling me to be. It was like, at that point, I don't care. I'm just going to go and do this. If I'm wrong, then God is going to stop me and correct me. But I gained power. I gained a power in the spirit by being obedient and just moving forward. And then other things started being confirmed, and others started saying, yeah, I saw that years ago. I saw that years ago. We were wondering what you were waiting for. But no, it's sometimes it's difficult to move past and live beyond someone else's opinion, someone else's perception.
Thank you so much for sharing it, because that's what I consider, for me, a mountain. A mountain is something that's very high. And sometimes we allow that highness, which is the other people's perception of us, to govern how we move, to govern how we respond to things, govern how we dress. Because at the end of the day, we all want to be accepted. But one of the things that I had to come to terms with is at the end of the day, what do I accept? What do Thomas want to be known for? Not what the other people want me to see or want to see out of me, because then I'm not living my authentic life, because I'm living for what you want me to see and for what you want me to do and for how you want me to act. So I'm so glad that you shared that. Now let's get to Mr. Romaine. You want to chime in on this conversation, brother?
Can you ask the question again? So I'll make sure I'm answering it right.
So the question is basically this: do we allow what other people's thoughts and their opinions of us to control us more than what we see in our own selves?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That's the story of my life. Probably not until I turned 37 maybe is when I started, to me, I felt as though taking control. What I mean by that is that to me, I felt as though all my life I've always been judged by other people or what other people do and why can't I do, or maybe people see something in me that I wasn't ready yet to see. So during that time I would shun away, or I would try to conform to what they wanted. Until I became super uncomfortable about some choices and decisions that were being made that I didn't feel as though I had control over. And then I was able to look myself in the mirror and realize, like, I'm not sleeping that well at night. Like I'm up at night worrying about what other people are thinking. And so then at the end of the day, I had to realize, like, and which I told you before, it's like, if I'm going to sleep and I'm worried or I can't sleep because I'm thinking about what somebody else is perceiving of me, or maybe thinking about what I should be or shouldn't be doing, but they're at home sleeping and they're at home having a good night's rest. Like, but I'm the one that's concerned. So like my biggest challenge to myself is to own myself, like own my life. Like I only have one life. Like this is not a practice life. Like, you know, you have to enjoy it and learn for me, I've turned into a person that is a cup half full. And with that meaning that, like, every negative experience that I've had, there's something positive that's come from that experience. And like, and then back in the day, I would always see that as a negative, but now I see it as a positive, because at the end of the day, something was not meant for me during that time. And I have to be okay with accepting the fact that something wasn't good. So with all that being said, is that my journey has taught me to understand that it's okay that I'm not meeting others' expectation, as long as I'm able to meet my own expectation, and that my heart and my soul feels good about the choices that I've made, even if other people don't agree with it. But as long as I'm happy, because at the end of the day, I have to live for me, and I can't expect other people to make me happy. If I'm not happy, I can't make anybody else happy. So, like, you know, I have to make sure that I'm good so that other people can be good as well.
Wow, that was powerful, brother. Thank you so much for sharing that. But you said something that made me go a little further with you. You said you had to learn to own yourself. What does own yourself look like to our listening audience who may be struggling with the fact that they don't own who they are as a person? And own this sometimes is one word that's called acceptance. So how do you tell our audience to own themselves? What does that look like in your eyes?
To me, when you own yourself, is that sometimes you're doing something that even a loved one or even somebody who doesn't know you, you're doing something, you know, you're not doing what they want you to do. And I think it's okay. Like, and it's okay. Like, in the beginning, it's hard. Like, it's hard as hell to do something that's not the norm. But at the end of the day, when you do it, when you start doing it more and more, you become comfortable with it. And I think that we have to learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think that, you know, sometimes if we meet our goals and meet our standards, then maybe our goals and standards aren't high enough, and they need to be higher so that we can find our true and better authentic self. I mean, that's just how I feel about stuff. So
love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And before, there are some more comments that are pouring in on my other page. James Wright says, right, Reggie. Toretta Elwood says, yes, Reggie Romaine Jr., great point. And Andre Marable says, well said, Reggie. And there is a comment that just posted up, Jason, if you can post it, from Deacon Lee. And Deacon Lee says, oh, I'm sorry. And well, before I go there, Emily Ford says, yes, at the end of the day, what do I accept? Love the convo, Thomas, September, and Reggie. Thanks for sharing with us. And then the other comment that I wanted to bring to the screen is from Deacon Lee. He said, here we are wounded, worried, and wrong for our very being along this journey. At the end of the day, we have to keep ourselves in check for ourselves and not for others, which leads me to September. How do you own yourself?
How do I own myself?
Yes.
I appreciated what Reggie said as far as he was 37 to remember the age that you were when you felt the turnaround. And I think for me, it was probably around that time too, somewhere between 37, 38. It was before I got or going right into my 40s. But how I own myself is it's the recognition of after all the discernment of knowing, okay, this is who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing. And this is one life. You know what? Right. I'm going to go after it with everything I've got. And I guess just to share a little bit, one of the things that I struggled with owning for me what was a ministerial calling. I did not want to be called a minister. I did not want to be called a pastor. I was cool with being, a singer, a worship artist. And actually for many, many years, I hid behind worship artists. But it wasn't until I, accepted God's call to go to seminary and started studying there. And people on the campus just started calling me pastor. People, my colleagues, my peers, and they were just like, Pastor Penn, Pastor September, asking me to pray for them for this and pray for them for that. And a part of me was like, you need to stop escaping this or trying to escape this. And even the dean of students directly called me out and said, yes, September Penn, there is a pastoral call on your life. You cannot pretend like that right. It's not. So I think for me, a part of me owning my life is even fully owning the calls that I think that are on my life, and then start leaning into those and immersing myself in the thing that I believe God is calling me. Yeah, that for me, that's a whole thing of owning it.
Right. And what I love about this discussion so far is that to our audience that's listening, you're getting the same information, but from two different perspectives. And it's all coming together. And that's what I love about authentic, non-scripted conversations, because we are just able to share out from our own walks of life. We're able to just share out what's important. So I'm just so glad that both of you guys are just sharing with us, because as we're discussing, audience, we're also discussing some mountains that we're crossing, some mountains that we still are crossing, and some barriers that we had to move as we are crossing these mountains. Because at the end of the day, we all are going to be impacted by something, whether it's the pandemic, whether it's being in the house with your loved ones every day, whether it's gaining that COVID weight, whether it's just doing a whole lot. You got to protect your peace. Wow. Thank you, Jason, for posting this. John Rawlins III says, this is good. We are responsible for protecting our own peace before we protect others. And that is so important to even discuss for a few moments. Because if we're not happy with ourselves, we can't make nobody else happy. And that's a mountain. And in some cases, that is a barrier. That's a barrier. And thank you, Jason. For Justin for posting this as well. Life is about experiencing your true calling. And we're going to start right there. If you don't walk in your truth, what you know at the end of the day, when you wake up in the morning and you look yourself in that mirror as a man and as a woman, you know what you are called to do. Whether it's to get up in the morning and teach these kids, whether it's to get up in the morning and say a prayer, whether it's to get up in the morning and do something. If we're not walking in our authentic truth, then we are doing a disservice to ourselves first. Then once we are doing a disservice to ourselves, then we are not going to be at peace. So can anyone just share out about how it's very important to be at peace with yourself and walk in your truth? I'll start with Miss Penn.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a wrestling. It is a wrestling, and it's a gnawing, and it's like this little bit of an irritant, like a picking. Right. As I was I got to go back to Florida. I was in Florida from 2006 until 2015. And I had started working at a church. I was their worship leader and their business administrator. And at that time, I remember having a conversation with God. And it was a bit of a negotiation. I was like, okay, God, look, I'm working full time in church now. Are we good? I mean, I'm serious.
Right.
And I didn't hear a thing. God didn't say nothing. But within 24 hours, I'm having a conversation with the pastor of the church there. And the pastor, just out of nowhere, he says, September, we love having you as our worship leader. You're doing a great job. And I think you're going to be a great business administrator too. But I'm not going to let you hide in my church.
Oh.
He said, I think there's something God is doing with you. And I think God is calling you to seminary to go figure it out. You need to go and call. And he said, you know what? Most people, if they got an employee or they have someone working in their church that they like to work with, they would never send them away. But he said, I don't want God to get me for not telling you what I believe God is calling you to do. That was Pastor Bobby Muthingwa who did that. And do you know, my peace was disturbed until I submitted myself, but that was in 2011. It wasn't until 2013 that I seriously started looking at seminaries and I started visiting them and doing my application. Do you know I didn't officially start Fuller until 2016? That's a whole lot of unsettled peace. But once I started, and once I humbled myself and I'm in track, I'm where God has me to be. I did. I a certain piece, a certain thing of, okay, God, I'm here. I'm doing it. This is difficult, but it's a piece of knowing I'm being obedient. I'm walking and I'm moving towards where God is calling me to. Right. For me, once I got into those studies and I was like, wow, thank you, God. Forgive me for dragging my feet. Right, forgive me, for not lining up immediately. But I will have to say a certain piece just slipped in and carried me through it. Yeah.
Wow. So thank you so much for sharing, Ms. Penn, and thank you so much, Deacon Lee, for sharing that. Now we're going to get into the point of this whole night. What I want to talk about is perception. And I'm going to read this definition again. Perception is defined as a way of regarding, understanding, and interpreting something. The way we interpret something, the way other people are interpreting something, the way people are in life that are interpreting things. Perception is real. Perception can also not be healthy because we allow what other people think about us, self-included. We allow what other people think to just completely take us off our course. So now we're going to have a great conversation for the next couple of minutes about perception, because I want people to know, how do you deal with perceptions? How can you tell someone at the end of the day, it don't matter what anyone has to say about you. You are important. I'm important. I matter. You can think that I'm being different because I'm doing this show. This show is not about Thomas. This show is about to help everybody else move mountains and break barriers, because the problem is we do not deal with stuff. We don't talk things out. Hashtag, if anyone follows me on social media, they know that I say, let's talk it out. They know I say, let's be here, let's share it, because we keep so much inside of us till we don't let it go for ourselves. So, Reggie, let's talk about some perceptions, boy. Perceptions is real. Can you just give us some examples about what people have perceived of you, how you deal with the perceptions, and how you can just tell people how to move forward in a positive mindset?
I mean, I have a lot of perceptions. Well, I've heard a lot of perceptions that people have a lot of perceptions of me. And at first, I used to just conform myself to that perception. But then at the end of the day, I had no peace. I had no rest because I had my restless nights or whatever. So with that being said, I had to learn to be comfortable with myself first in order to be comfortable with owning my own perception. Right. But to answer your question, what I would tell anybody is that you have to be comfortable with who you are. You have to be comfortable with saying, and maybe it's saying it out loud, maybe it's writing it in a journal, maybe it's just writing on a piece of paper, like, this is who I am. I am this person that I like to do A, B, and C. I don't like to do A, B, and C. Maybe it's you maybe it's sometimes it's you just acknowledging during that moment in time to yourself that this isn't making me comfortable, so I need to remove myself, or I need to whatever. if you have to explain yourself to people, you have to be comfortable to do that. Because to me, I feel as though if we're not evolving as people or as human beings, then we're always going to be stuck, and we're always going to be worried about what the other person sees and perceives.
Right.
And then we're stuck. So I guess to answer your question is that to be comfortable within your own skin, to be comfortable within yourself, and to be honest and say, like, I mess up. Bad things happen. I don't always do the right thing. But what can I learn from it? What can how can this help me better myself in the future? And it's just, again, just owning it.
I'm about to go a little bit deeper with you, because you and I talk about this every day on the phone. What happens when someone perceives you in a not so good light?
You talking about me personally?
Yes, you personally.
I get stuck. I get stuck, and sometimes I need somebody to help me talk me off the ledge. And what the ledge means is that, like, is I try to have this thing where I don't allow people to impede in my space. And what that means is that I have to own myself. And so I don't want this negative person, or I don't want how your perception is, to empower me so much that now you have controlled my thoughts, my aims, and what it is that I want to do. And now I'm stuck. So for me, it's just making sure that I have that, not a wall, but just the understanding of, like, I'm okay with being who I am. And if somebody doesn't like it, it's okay. Like, you were here to teach me this lesson, or you were here to let me understand not to, or maybe to do that. So, yeah. And
I'm glad that you hit two buzzwords, and I just posted it in the chat. Control. That's a great word. We got to learn how to remain in control of ourselves. We have to learn to remain in control of what we allow into our personal space. We have to learn to control who we allow just to be around us, period. And I'm just glad that you said that. And then one thing that you said that was also key is boundaries. We have to set healthy boundaries, because you can't always be the yes woman. You can't always be the yes man. Sometimes you have to say no. And with me, I've had to learn to say no. And it's a hard thing for me to do. And I'm still struggling with that, as if I'm fully honest, because if someone asks me to do something, I want to try to find a way to do it on top of my other 100 things that I have going on. And you have to set healthy boundaries. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you, Cynthia. I see it. I found that the Holy Spirit will. Yes, sometimes we got to pray. Now, I'm going to be very honest and transparent. Depending on when this moment happened, I may not have to pray. I may have to say something else, but I'm working on that too. So I'm just going to be very honest. This is the honest, transparent show. Very honest. And thank you so much. Trey Gunn commented and says, yes, just own who you are and walk in your own confidence. That is so important. Horace Beck just said, set boundaries. Deacon Lee just said, we have to keep in mind that some perceptions come from their own insecurities that they project on you. Can you place this on the screen, please? Because I think some people need to see that again. We have to keep in mind that some perceptions that people have of us is not even about us. It's about their own insecurities. So, September, can you explain how can we deal with that? How can we deal with that mountain or that barrier when people are bringing on their insecurities onto you?
Oh man, that's really good. I love that, because there's a lot of projecting that takes place. There's a lot of that comes through, their perception. They're projecting all kinds of stuff. And when I was younger, and I would sense it, I remember I went into a thing of avoidance. Well, I'm just going to avoid these people. I'm going to avoid them. They're not being very kind to me. But as I've gotten older and matured a little bit, man, it's crazy. I be loving them. I be loved and owned. What clicks me of what's going on? Okay. Right. Well, let me just hug them a little bit more. Let me invite them to dinner. Let's do this thing. And while I'm so for the healthy boundaries, because I've gotten older and wiser, I can love on them while I still have my boundary, protecting my spirit. I can love on them and send them their way. And what I found is that has caused things to shift. It'll change the atmosphere. It'll change how they treat me. Not to say that I want them to see me in whatever light, but it causes them to check themselves. And all of that is biblical. You know, when you love on somebody, when you heat those coals, you know, when you do it, it causes them to check themselves. So yeah, I've learned just love on them a little bit more. Send them a text of love again. You know, I will do that. I've seen things turn around just by doing that.
Well, I can tell you, you know, we had this saying in Danville. My mom was always say, you turn the other cheek, but sometimes them cheeks get red, and you gonna have to stop turning the cheek and have to check somebody and say, you know what? I would just stop right there. So Reggie, can you just talk about how can we just deal when people just project their anger, their jealousy, their negative energy, period? How do you deal with that? And how do you tell people that you mentor and that you guide not to allow their insecurities to stop you from doing what you are called to do?
Again, I think that's just you knowing, you being able to say no, you being confident in your no, and you being able to say no in a way that people understand and know that it's real and it's authentic. Because at the end of the day, what's good for you may not be good for somebody else, or what's good for somebody else may not be good for you. But also with that being said, like a lot of people are very afraid and hesitant to tell people no because they're afraid of what the aftermath is going to be. They're afraid of how they're going to be viewed, or going to be afraid of how they're going to look. But again, I think that goes to the fact of even myself, that I'm learning to communicate, to communicate, period. Like, because at the end of the day, because of the man in the mirror or the perception that people see, you have to be your own voice piece or mouthpiece to let people know this is who I am, but this is not what you see. And sometimes, you know, what I've learned throughout my years is that sometimes people have to have a conversation with me, or it's either me opening up myself to allowing people to know who I am, to have a conversation with somebody so that I can change that perception. But like, in people that I mentor or people that I talk to, like it's even now it's hard to do because you're so afraid of what the other person is going to say. You're so afraid of what the judgment or the negative outlook or content behind it. But you know, what I would tell anybody is that, like, you have to be okay with being comfortable, and you have to be okay with knowing that what works for you may not work for everybody else. But if you're happy and if at the end of the day you're at peace, that to me is the most important thing. Because as I've always said, like, this is not a video game. We don't have a practice life, so we have to enjoy the time that we have. And if some people don't agree or like our choices, we have to be okay with that, because they're living their life just as much as we're living our life. And if we're worried about what somebody else is thinking or doing, then we're never going to be able to live our life and be happy. And sometimes that is doing stuff that is not the norm. But sometimes you may be that person that is just not the norm person. Like for myself, I don't view myself as the norm person. I want to evolve. I want to be different. I don't want to be stagnant as I continue to get older and seasoned. So
you guys have dropped some knowledge. Yes, go ahead.
Let me say something really quick too, just to clear up. When I talk about, you know, just loving on somebody, I'm not just saying you just love on everybody and always turn the other cheek. Sometimes if they can't come to a place of their own evolution, then maybe they're being pruned and purged and removed from your life. And that's a part of it, because not everybody, I think Reggie spoke to this earlier, as the seasons change, there are some people that can't go into the next season with you. So they're going to be removed. You know, we can love them from afar. Right.
Wow, y'all, I just can't believe that it's almost time for us to end this show. And I just want to just say, I'm so excited. The viewers have been on tonight. I'm very excited. We thank you for being on with us this evening. It's not about September. It's not about Reggie. It's not about Thomas. It's about you. This show is about you, the people. Because this is the time that we need to just empower each other. As September says, love on each other. As Reggie says, own who you are. And as I'm going to say, set healthy boundaries. This is what this series, this show is going to be about. And before we transition, I just want to ask you, September 1st, how can people stay in contact with you?
Oh, they can Follow me on Instagram. First of all, Twitter, September Sings. I don't do a whole lot of Twittering though. So Instagram's better. September Penn. Yeah, that's it. And then I'm also on Facebook. September Penn. I have a music page. Then I also have my personal page, September Penn. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to leave our audience that's streaming tonight? Any words, final thoughts?
I do want to do a plug for my latest song release, which is Hallelujah, Come Bless the Lord. Especially with what took place yesterday. It's fire, it's high praise. It'll get you jumping and dancing. So find that September Penn, Hallelujah, Come Bless the Lord. It's like a multicultural choir, but it's straight Black church. That'll bless you. Let me also leave you with more than anything, as we are trying to, fully live out our lives and fully be who God has called us to be, get quiet enough so that you can hear. Sit enough so that you can hear what God is saying. If that means you are pulling yourself away from me, sometimes I have to go to the beach, I have to go on a long walk, whatever, but pull yourself away so that you can hear. And then once you know you've heard clearly, as much as you can, start leaning into the thing that you've heard clearly. And as you move forward, God will make the steps clearer. He'll make the path a little bit straighter. Not everybody's going to agree, but just keep it stepping.
Thank you so much. And thank you for giving us some great spiritual encouragement tonight. I feel good about it. I feel good. And I applaud you for being on the show tonight. Thank you so much, cousin. I love you dearly. I love you.
Love you too.
To my boy of 20 years, how can we find you on social media? How can we keep in touch with you?
VARR on IG. That's good.
The man in the mirror. All right. Okay. And can you tell us some things that you would like to share with the viewing audience? Any words of encouragement? Any empowerment?
I would definitely say it's okay to recognize that people are here for seasons. And it's okay if they're not here for the long run, but learn to think about the message or the lesson that you're learning from them. And at the end of the day, like, you have to make yourself happy. And it's okay if other people don't agree with what makes you happy, as long as you're happy, because they're doing stuff that's making them happy. So those are like the two things that I kind of live by right now. So that's kind of, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Reggie, for being on this show. Thank you for being willing to just jump right into this. And I humbly appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, brother. You are my brother. All right. So before I go, I want to drop a few more comments. Jared Williams said, thank you for all of you for being vulnerable and sharing your truths. I love it and looking forward to the next episode. Trey Gunn said, glory. Love it. Straight raw church. Andre Marable says, great discussion. Horace Beck said, again, congrats. Thank you so much, Mr. Beck, for chiming in on tonight, and I appreciate it. And Deacon Lee says, amazing, awesome show. All the best for future shows. Live in peace, brother 06. Thank you, my frat brother, for tuning in. Again, I'm just super excited about this series that we're going to be doing. Just before we go, I want to say two things. We're going to be talking about some very deeper topics. For example, we're going to be having a show called WAP. Not what you think that we're going to be talking about, but that's going to be called We Are People. Then we're going to talk about love and hip hop in the DMV style. Then we're going to talk about I'm in love with, and you're going to have to finish it. What are you in love with? We're going to be talking about a whole lot of different topics. I'm telling you. And the last thing I want us to talk about on future shows is we're going to say love them or leave them alone. Because sometimes those barriers are people that we don't need to be loving on, right? So I just wanted to give you a sneak peek on what's to come in the first series of this show. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I am Thomas Davis. I am the host of this show. I want to give gratitude to everyone that tuned in tonight, to my boys, Jason, Marty, Daryl, September, Reggie, my mother, everybody that was in tonight, because I don't want to mess with nobody's names that people get mad. So I'm going to stop there. I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much. As I close out, I just want to say this. Let's keep talking it out. Let's continue to move our mountains. Most of all, let's break some barriers and some strongholds that we have on our life. Remain humble, remain true. Most of all, love yourself. And guess what? I love you. Hey, what's up with that, y'all? I made it up myself. And last, introduce the 4 C's that I want us to really focus on. We must always communicate. We must always be consistent. We must all work towards change. And lastly, we must all collaborate and work with each other as we continue to move mountains, break barriers. See you next time. Be on the lookout for future shows. And I thank you again for tuning in on tonight. Catch you later. Peace out. Whew.